Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to my today's live session. So I'll wait for our viewers to join back in. So there was some issue with the previous screening of the live, and I think there was some audio issue. I hope everyone can now hear me clearly and see me clearly. So I'll wait for every Migration Advisors Authority, which basically allows me to sit here today and advise you on your migration queries. So my team confirms that they can hear me on Facebook, and I hope I am audible on YouTube as well. All our viewers who are watching the live session before, if you can please confirm that I'm here on YouTube as well, so that we can start the live session without any further delays. I request everyone joining in the session, please start leaving your questions, your queries, anything that you have in regarding to New Zealand. I'll be happy to answer them all, if possible, if the time allows. Today, the topic for the day is the exceptions that are there for you to travel to New Zealand. Are you meeting those exceptions or not? So we'll focus the questions. We'll first focus on the questions that are regarding the topic. And if we do have any time left, I'll be happy to answer any other queries that you may have. So while we wait for more viewers to join in, let's talk a bit about AJV. So AJV now has a total of 10 licensed immigration advisors, which makes us one of the few companies to have these many licensed advisors. What that basically means is that we are the one company that will assist you with any migration query that you have in regards to traveling to New Zealand, Australia, and Canada. And we only intend on providing honest advice to you on different pathways available to you and your family. So this is AJV. You have seen a lot of licensed advisors coming live and advising you on your various pathways available to you. So while in the midst of this pandemic, we know that the borders continue to remain closed for New Zealand for everyone except for some people who meet the exception criteria set by the New Zealand government. So today we're going to focus this live session on the exceptions and help you all out there who are meeting the exceptions or who feel that they can or they may meet the exceptions but do have doubts about it. And this is a good opportunity for you to use this exception and travel to New Zealand faster. So we'll talk about the exceptions available to you all, different kind of exceptions, but my main focus for today is going to be the partnership. So let's wait and see what is, how many people, if you've started getting questions, so then I can begin today's live session. So coming on to the exceptions, so there are a lot of exceptions for people where you do not even are required to apply for an exception. You can just get up and travel to New Zealand. So those people would be the New Zealand citizens, permanent resident visa holders, the partner or dependent children of New Zealand citizens or permanent resident visa holders, provided that your visa is based on this relationship, provided that you already hold a visa on the basis of this relationship, a diplomat who holds a post in New Zealand, Australian citizens, permanent residents, ordinarily resident in New Zealand, and eligible travelers from the Cook Islands. So these are the few categories where you do not even need to apply for exception and you can just pick up your bags and travel to New Zealand. Apart from these, there are a couple of other exceptions where you have to submit the exception request to Immigration New Zealand. They will assess it on the basis of the information provided by you. If they feel that you are likely to meet the requirements, they will issue you an invitation to apply, which is an ITA. So the time frame of processing an exception request is about 2 to 3 days, while now they have moved it to 5 working days. However, we have been getting responses within 2 to 3 working days. And post that, you get about 30 days to lodge your critical visitor visa application. So what does an exception basically allows you to do is that they will give you a critical visitor visa application, which can range, the visa validity can go up to 12 months. So it entirely depends on the discretion of the immigration officer that how long they want to give you a visa for. This will allow you to travel to New Zealand, be there on a visitor visa, and then apply for your further visas as you meet the requirements for them. So this is the process for the exception. This process is quite quick. It is a fast process. The timelines for this visa is much lesser than the other categories that you can apply for. So it takes you about 2 to 3, 5 days maximum to get a response to your exception request. And once you load your file, it takes about 10 to 14 days to get a response back from immigration. So they themselves have given 2 weeks of timeline for the processing of these applications. So it is quite a fast processing application. So if you do feel that you're meeting the requirements for this exception, my suggestion would be take on the opportunity, apply for them instead of applying for the work visas, partner of partner of New Zealand resident and citizens, because the time frames for assessing those applications are much higher. So if you feel that you're meeting the exception requirements, please feel free to get in touch with us, and we will assist you with that. Now, talking about the requirements, we'll come to that. And before that, I just want to let you know what other categories are there where you can apply for exception. So apart from the people who are going as a partner of New Zealand residents or citizens and are not ordinarily living in New Zealand and also do not have a partnership visa, they can apply for this exception. Provide enough evidence to show that you are meeting the genuine and stable relationship requirements as per immigration for you to be granted that visa. So what here happening is that I've gone through a couple of applications in this area, and the trend that I've seen is that initially there were a lot of couples who have not lived together for that long. However, as per the exception requirement states that the partner living in New Zealand on the basis of whom you're applying for this relationship needs to be in your home country for you to get that exception. So basically what that means is that you need to be traveling from your home country to New Zealand with your partner to be able to get that exception approved. So talking about one of the examples of the recent case that we did, it was a new marriage. So the marriage happened last year. It was a fairly recent marriage. The couple did not get enough time to spend with each other, obviously because of the work commitments that the partner had in New Zealand. And because of that, the partner in India could not travel in time because of the pandemic, because of the borders were closed. And so they did not get enough time to spend with each other. However, once they applied for the exception themselves, it got declined a couple of times. But once the partner was here and they requested us to apply for the exception. So when I did their exception, I realized that it is a lot to do with the wordplay. It is a lot to do with the correct information that you need to put in. Because in the exception request, they only give you about a certain amount of words that you can fill in for, requesting for an approval of exception. So you have to be very careful in mind that what are you putting in those 30,000 characters that 3,000 characters that they're allowing you to put in. So I think it becomes very important there that you do refer to a professional for writing up that exception request for you, because it all comes down to what information you're putting and how you're explaining it to them. So once you get an ITA, it is fairly a bit easy because you just have to provide documents for what you are putting in. And that is where our professional advice comes in play, because we would know the kind of documentation that will help your application towards an approval, towards a positive decision. So these are the basic requirements for an exception. It's a bit vague. They do not have a clear set of rules and instructions. But it basically states that if you're applying as a partner of New Zealand citizen or resident, you need to be meeting the relationship requirements. They do not have any fixed requirements as that you need to be living with your partner for a certain amount of months or anything as such. But however, they do need a proper explanation and documentation to support that application. So this would be one of the ways that you can apply for your exception if you do not hold a visa and you have not lived in New Zealand ordinarily before this. There are some other categories as well, like work, and recently they're allowing some students to travel to New Zealand. However, the requirements for them is that someone who already was working in New Zealand, or someone who already had a student visa and could not travel, or traveled in the midst of their course and could not go back. Only those certain people are eligible for exceptions under those categories. Otherwise, the exceptions are more prevalent for people who are New Zealand citizens and residents and their partners and families. So this would be a bit about the exception request. We'll come to the questions. I think this is something that we can answer with more examples in front of us. So I'll come to the questions in a bit, and then as we go through the questions, maybe we'll clear out more doubts that you're having. So if you do have even the tiniest bit of doubt, please feel free to leave me that doubt on this chat, so that while I explain you this doubt, there's a lot of other information that everyone else on this who's attending this live session will also receive. So we'll come to the questions. Okay, so while I do not see any questions prevalent to today's topic, team, I'm not able to see many questions. I can only see a couple of them. I'm not sure if there's a filter that's happening. If you can please post the questions on our chat. Okay, so coming to the questions on YouTube, it is by Dimple Gale. Hi, Dimple. And she asked, what are the possibilities for July 22 intake? Dimple, as of now, we do not have any such information on when they are planning to open up the borders. So it would be very unfair for me to give you any idea or any hopes on when the next intake is likely to happen. July intake is something that it's in a limbo, I would say. But if you are looking at the study option, my suggestion to you would be that start looking for the courses, work with us so that we can suggest you best courses available to you, and you can apply for the admissions and at least have your offer letters with you, so that even if the intakes do get pushed forward, you can get a deferred offer letter and do not lose your place. You do not lose your seat in the course. So you can actually look for you can go do that entire process, and as soon as they do open up the borders, then we can, immediately lodge your application and you'll be first in the line. So unfortunately, I cannot give you a satisfactory answer for if, July intake is likely to happen. Next would be Dimple Gale. It's a question by Dimple only, and she says, is it wise to apply for partner of student visa along with student visa application or later? You can apply for the visas together. This will help you save time that is there in between, once you get your visa and then you apply for your partner's visa, then it would be, another gap of about 4 to 6 months. So my suggestion would be apply together. There is no harm in it. In fact, there's more benefit to it. The only thing that is that, if you feel that you will not be approved a student visa, that's a different thing. But if you're sure of the course that you're choosing and the documentation that you're providing, everything is in line, then you can just go ahead and apply all of the applications together. And I think that one thing that can assure that is that if you work with a licensed immigration advisor or a company that has been dealing with the student visas for the longest time, and that is agency, and we have received a good amount of approvals. We in fact received the highest amount of approvals with Immigration New Zealand. So if this is what you're looking for, then I would say it's completely go ahead with applying all the applications together. I think I misunderstood your question. You said July 22 intake. So that I think is most likely to happen because as per the government, they also said that the borders are likely to remain shut for this year or most of this year. So we are hoping that it would open by end of August, September or something. So 22 intake is most likely to happen. So if you're planning for that, then well and good. Next question we've got from Art Shekhar, and he says, how many days it takes for the exception for partner visa to be approved? So like I said, Shekhar, that once you apply for the exception request, first the process is that they will assess the information that is provided by you. And then on the basis of the 3,000 characters, basically you just have to write about your relationship and why do you feel that you meet the requirements. So that gets assessed about in like 5 working days, max to max 5 working days. And post that, you get 30 days to lodge your application. So the minute you lodge your application, immigration states that they will take about 2 weeks to assess this critical visitor visa. So in total, if you want to do this process, this can be done in about 20 to 30 days, and you will have your visitor visa to travel to New Zealand. I think that's all that we've got on YouTube. Let's move to Facebook and see what we have here. Let me just check if my team has posted any questions that I'm not able to see. Okay, so so one question we've got from Gorapalli Rajesh, and he says, "Hi, would you explain work visa for an engineer?" Gorapalli Rajesh, thank you for leaving us your question first of all. I would love to explain that. However, at this point, work visas are not being processed, and neither can you travel right now on those visas. If you are an engineer, I would suggest that you look at the residence options. While you can, the EOIs are not being picked up. However, there's a lot of work that you need to do before that. So if you want to look at something like residence directly, I would suggest that if you're an engineer and if you've been working in this field for quite a bit of years, you can look at this option. Work visas, despite even if there's a pandemic, it gets a bit difficult to get work visas because getting job offers can become difficult from from New Zealand if you're not even in New Zealand, because companies are less likely to put in that effort because they don't know if you'll even get a visa to come to the country. So work visas are still something that I would suggest you to look at as a last option and look at the residence options first, because engineer is a very good field and you may likely you may meet the points that you need for residence. Coming to the next question we've got from Surya Teja, and he says, I have a long-term work to residence. I've applied for my partner visa and it got approved and it's expired in lockdown before she traveled. What are my options for her to come here, or can I go and come back? And what about cultural marriage visa? Hi, Surya Teja. Thank you for leaving us your query. I'll just first clear out the cultural marriage bit. So I understand that it's been a while that you and your partner have been married. So you cannot apply for cultural marriage because you need to apply for that category within 3 months of marriage. So we'll leave that one out. Coming to your long-term work to residence, I would need some information about which category you have applied under, what visa do you exactly hold. And for applying for this exception, she may not meet the requirements right now because you need to be a resident visa holder or a citizen for her to be able to meet the exception requirements. So I would suggest that if you can leave us your detailed profile on, if you can just give us a call on 1-800-103-6525. Speak to one of our advisors and give. Once we have a detailed information about what category, what visa category do you hold, if there's any way for you to move forward to the residence visa so that your partner can travel, and we'll be happy to look at the options available to you. So please leave us your number so that the team can get in touch with you, and we'll be happy to help you out further. Next question we've got is from Nitin, and he says 15 years of experience in IT, software developer engineering, possible work visa or PR New Zealand. Hi Nitin, thank you for leaving us your question. So like I was explaining, Gorapali, that work visas are something that a bit difficult to get right now. I would suggest that you look at the PR options. While they are not picking up the expression of interest, they're likely to open up that soon because that they had deferred this until April. So post April, we are looking at that visa category also to open up. So I would suggest with 15 years of IT experience, it is a very good possibility that you will meet the requirements for the residence visa. So please leave us your number, speak to a licensed advisor. They will do a detailed assessment for you. And once the detailed assessment is done, you will know how many points you're meeting, what are the chances of you getting this visa, and what is the process like. So leave us your number and the team will get in touch with you and provide you all the other information that you need. Next question we've got is from Mani Beniwal, and he says, what about open work visa holders and when can they come to New Zealand? Hi Mani, thank you for leaving us your question. If you already hold a work visa and you were ordinarily living in New Zealand, then you can travel back on the exception and we can assess what other requirements are there for it. However, if you've not been on that, if you've not been to New Zealand and just hold a work visa right now, you do not meet the exception requirements and you will have to wait for further instructions from the government. Thank you for coming on the live session. Next question is from Bhishma, and he says, she says, hi, my husband is currently having a student visa. And is it possible for us to travel to New Zealand by April? Hi, Dishma. Thank you for leaving us your question. Unfortunately, at this point, if you haven't traveled to New Zealand before and already do not hold a partnership visa, you cannot travel to New Zealand. So if you have been to New Zealand before and got stuck here now, then you will be eligible for the exception. But otherwise, you will have to wait for further instructions from the New Zealand government. Thank you, Dishma. Abhinav Mishra has left us a question saying, I fell partner visitor visa in May 2019 from your company. I'm still waiting. I was suggested to file work visa last year in June, but still now I'm away from my partner. My daughter was granted visa. She can't travel as well. My wife hold post-study work visa. Hi, Abhinav. Thank you for your question. I understand that it is a tough time. However, the exceptions are very limited right now. And unfortunately, we do not have any exceptions that will let the partners who already hold visas, in fact, and haven't been to New Zealand, but even they can't travel right now. So unfortunately, at this point, we do not have any solution, but we can just wait for the New Zealand government to open up more areas where people can, travel to New Zealand, which they are gradually doing. So it's a waiting game. So let's just wait and see what set of new exceptions do they come up with. Thank you, Abhinav. If you have any doubts, if you have concerns, queries, or worries, please feel free to speak to us. Pick up the phone, speak to the person who was handling your case, or if you want to speak to me, just go on our website. You can see, you can check my number from there, and you can just pick up the phone and have a chat. And I'll, happy to explain everything to you in detail. Thank you, Abhinav. Next question I've got from Devi Hira Para, and she says, hi there. I'm one of the AGB members. I'm just wondering. I want to go to India in April to attend my sister's wedding. I got my 3 essential visa recently. Can me and my husband be able to come back here as we hold an essential work visa for a long period of time, or just I can go and my husband can stay here? Can I able to come back or not? Thanks. Okay. First of all, thank you for leaving us your question. Talking about the this visa category. So basically, right now you cannot come back if you once you travel to India. It will be difficult for you to come back because you're not a resident or a citizen. So you need to be a resident or a citizen to be able to just travel back to New Zealand. Also, there is so while I said that if you are holding a work visa and you go to India, there is a requirement by the immigration that states that to be eligible, you must have departed New Zealand between 1st December 2019 and 9th October 2020 to be able to come back on that work visa. So right now, if you travel, you will not be able to travel back at this point, and neither will your husband be able to travel back. I hope I have cleared that query. If you do have any more doubts, Devi, please leave us your number so that we can speak to you. And if there's any other options available, we can sort them out for you. Thank you so much. Let's just check if my team has any updates for me. Okay, nothing. We have another question, and this is actually a question which a lot of people have. This is by Shubham Sharma. Thank you, Shubham. And he says, hi, I'm an ATV student, got my student visa last year for April intake, but was unable to travel due to this pandemic. My question is, will I have to process from the beginning or just have to apply for a new visa after border restrictions are lifted? Hi, Shubham. So if you do have an offer letter right now, so I'm not sure what you mean by the beginning. So you will have to apply for a new visa. We will have to get a deferred offer letter from your college for the course that you were going for. And we will have to apply for a new visa for sure. So, but however, I feel that you already had a student, you were approved a student visa. So it's very unlikely that they may decline now. So it's just like maybe like a formality unless they change any instructions. So if I don't think you need to be worried about that. So once the border restrictions are lifted, we'll apply for your visa again, and you can then travel to New Zealand. Abhinav Misra also says that I filed for partner visitor visa May 2019 from AJV. Then I was suggested to apply work visa. My partner is on post-study work visa. My daughter has visa needs exemption. And what can be done to help us as it's been? Abhinav, I'm a little bit confused about your case now. Your daughter, as of now, will not meet the exemption requirements as per what I'm understanding of your case at this point. If you can, please, team, if you can just, whoever was handling Abhinav's case, if you can just let me know or just contact Abhinav so that we can just clear out his queries today itself. Team, please take note of this. We have another question from Krishna Tiwari, and he says, hi, ma'am, what is the best course to get eligible for PR? Can we directly do master's since bachelor's is done, or there should be anything pre kind of stuff before master? I'm from Nepal. Hi, Krishna. Thank you for leaving us your question. So first thing I'll say is that there is no course that you need to do to be eligible for a PR. you first need to assess how many points you're able to claim right now. There might be a possibility that you might not just need to do a course specifically to be eligible for PR. I would suggest you choose your course on the basis of what you want to do and what's the level of qualification that you want to pursue. If you've already done your bachelor's, you can directly go for master's. There is no in between. If you do not want to take up a level 9 course, a master's course, you can also go for postgraduate diplomas and other courses which are of lesser time duration and obviously less heavy on the pocket as well. So there is no restrictions as such. Your PR, your residence application is entirely going to be dependent on the points that you're able to claim. So doing a master's may just give you additional of 20 points, but the rest of your profile, which is based on your age, your work experience, your partner's qualification, that also matters a lot. So my suggestion would be you can just get a quick assessment done by one of the licensed immigration advisors. You can book a consultation. We'll be happy to do an assessment for you and suggest you how many points that you're meeting right now, what can you do to meet the required points, and whether, a postgraduate course or a master's course or any other kind of course will be more relevant for you. So please leave us your number so that the team can get in touch with you, or you can get in touch with us and we'll be happy to help you out. Thank you, Krishna. There's another question by Deepu Sharma, and he says, is there any chances to open for spouse visa post May extended? Not sure I can understand your question, Deepu, clearly, but as of now, the spouse visas are open for just particular categories such as partner of New Zealand residents and citizens. The spouse visa category is also open for partners of students and work visa holders, provided they were ordinarily living in New Zealand. So these are the categories that are open now. We are hoping that they will, give more exemptions in future. So stay tuned to our channel and we will keep on giving you all the updates as and when they come through. Thank you for leaving us your question. I think we've ended the questions on Facebook. Let's switch to YouTube. Okay, similar question. Okay, so we have one question from Neha, and he says, my husband is already in New Zealand. He's a permanent resident here. My visa application was applied last year, January, but I don't get my visa. Can I get exception visa? Hi, Neha. Thank you for leaving us your question. You do seem to meet the requirements, provided there are some things that you and your partner will have to do to be able to be eligible under this exception. You can definitely apply for it. Your partner will need to travel to India. If I'm assuming that you are in India, your partner will have to travel to India for you to be able to get this exception, because that's one of the requirements. So I would suggest please leave us your number, or I'll just leave my contact details here, and please come back. You can just reach out to us, and I'll suggest you what is the best way to go forward with this. Thank you, Neha, for leaving us your question. I think you should apply for an exception right now. You will be eligible, so speak to us, and we'll take it forward from there. Gurpreet Raman has left us a question saying, when will we open New Zealand borders? Please give me answer. When will I mention? Unfortunately, we do not have that answer right now. I would love to give that answer to you, but we do not have any clarity on when they're planning to open up the borders. We do know that they will open up eventually during this year, but we do not have a specific time frame in our hands. So we'll have to wait for the New Zealand government to tell us something, and hopefully they will open the borders soon and you can meet your spouse. Thank you for coming on my live session. Next question we've got is from R. Shekhar, and he says, "What's the medical requirements for visitor visa exception?" Thank you, Shekhar, for writing this question. Basically, the medical requirements are very similar to the ones that were there for the other applications that you apply. You need to do your medicals and chest X-ray and everything done, and submit to the immigration with your application. So that is the only medical requirement as such. Apart from that, if you're talking in terms of the COVID situation, then you are required to book a quarantine facility when you arrive in New Zealand. So that is one mandatory requirement that you will have to go through. So MIQs are something that you can book while you're here, and once you get your visa, book your MIQ and then accordingly plan your travel. So these are the only medical requirements, health requirements that you have to take care of. There's another question by Ashok Nepali, and he says, "Hello, ma'am. What about student partner visa? She is in job search visa right now." Thank you, Ashok. Student partner visas, like I said, that if you already were living in New Zealand on a partner visa and then you couldn't travel back due to the pandemic, then only you'll be eligible for this category exceptions. Otherwise, you will have to wait for further instructions from the government. Thank you for coming on the live and leaving us your question. Jay Patel has asked a question. What about student visa July intake possible? Jay, we do not have a specific answer from the government yet that when are they opening up the borders. So I would not be able to give you a definite answer if the July intake is happening or not. We are hoping that it does happen, but as of now we do not have surety about it. So stay tuned to AGV, and we will let you know as soon there isn't any update about this. Another question by Jbara Jacob, and he says, "What about work visa?" Jacob, work visas right now, any kind of visas right now for offshore are not being processed except for the exceptions. So there is you cannot apply for work visa unless the borders do open up. So that's about it. And talking in terms of work visas, I would suggest that there are many other options, lucrative options that you can look for. I do not know the profile and what exactly that you're looking for. So I would suggest that you leave us your number so that the team can get in touch with you, and they'll be happy to provide you with all the information that you need to take the best decision. Okay. There's a question by Bhavna, and she says, "Am I eligible for PR? I have done masters in microbiology and just wanted to know, is there a microbiologist role in the skill list category?" Thank you, Bhavna. I would need some more details to be able to answer your questions to tell you if you're eligible for PR. So I would need your detailed resume, your job role, what exactly were you doing in the company to be able to identify if you can claim points for the that occupation or not. So leave us your number, or you can contact us on our toll-free number, and we'll be happy to help you out. So for all the viewers, I'm going to repeat our toll-free number, which is 1800-103-6525. Please feel free to contact us, and we'll be happy to help you out with any queries that you have. Manish Dixit says, "What is the status for entrepreneur work visa?" Manish, you see, entrepreneur work visas requires a lot of background work first before you can even apply for the visa. So right now, any kind of work visas are not being processed. At least from offshore, they're not being processed. However, we are hoping that sooner, these restrictions are going to be lifted up. So if you are planning to look for something like an entrepreneur work visa, you need to start doing your backup work from now. So I think it's the best time to start your entrepreneur work visa. Everything that you need to do. There are a lot of things, there are a lot of requirements that you need to meet. a lot of background work that you need to do for it. So if you are looking for something like this, then I would suggest that it's the best time to start it. Reach out to the team, and our company's head, Arun Jacob, is the one who will take care of all the entrepreneur work visa. So you can book a consultation with him, understand the workarounds of this visa, what is the cost, timeline like, and you can then take it from there. Thank you, Manish. Ashok Nepali says, thank you for the response. Love from Nepal to your team. Thank you, Ashok, for coming on the live session. Moving on to the Facebook, because we have no more questions on YouTube. I think we have covered all the questions that we have got today. I'll wait for another couple of minutes to see if we have more questions coming in. Otherwise, we will end the session for today. So like I said, that if you have a slightest bit of doubt that you are meeting the requirements, pick up the phone, speak to us. And everyone who's watching this live session, if you're a partner of a New Zealand resident or a citizen, I really push you all to contact us to understand if you're meeting the requirements, what can be done for the requirements to be met. I feel this is a golden time for you guys to apply for the visas, because the other kind of visas that, like work visa, partner of a certain category, they take longer to process. These visas are not taking that much time. You can travel to New Zealand as soon as you get a visa. And once you are in New Zealand, you can then apply for your further visas as and when you meet the requirements for them. In fact, recently we have processed about 3 to 4 exceptions, and all of them were very different kind of profiles. One, like I explained before, was a couple who was recently married and did not get enough time to spend with each other. They were, recently approved an exception, and we had about 3 other cases which were very complicated cases and had multiple declines in the past. And we've managed to get the invitation to apply for them as well. And hopefully the visas will be approved too. So if you are someone who's falling under this category, I would say this is the golden time to apply for this visa and get your visitor visas, at least travel to New Zealand. The duration of the visa can be any time between the 12 months. So the visa duration validity that our clients have got is about 6 to 7 months. So that is enough time for you to be in New Zealand, collect all the documentation that you need for the further visas that you have to apply. And I think this is the best time for it. So if you are falling under that category, please pick up the phone or contact our team, and we'll help you out with this exception request. So I do not see any further questions coming in. Okay, we do have one more question, 2 more questions actually. One is from Nirosh, and he says, what is the chance of getting a PR in New Zealand if we work in non-accredited farm? I have done level 8 in food science. Hi Nirosh, thank you for leaving us your query. So coming on to the eligibility of your residence, it is dependent on various categories. That is your age, your qualification, your work experience. And if you're in New Zealand, the employment that you have got in New Zealand, so the offer of employment that you have, if it's meeting the salary threshold or not, what level is it falling under? So there are a lot of things that we have to look at. Talking about your qualification that you have pursued, that is level 8, so you'll be eligible for 50 points for your qualification. So while that qualification will give you 50 points, we will have to see if you can claim points for the employment that you hold in New Zealand. So there are a lot of things that we will have to assess in that. So my suggestion would be, leave us your number so that the team can get in touch with you. I would suggest you to book a consultation with a licensed advisor, because if you are in New Zealand, there's a good chance that you can meet the residence requirements. and apply for your skilled migrant category visa. So speak to a licensed advisor and they will give you each and every information that you need. You can work with them throughout this. They'll clear all your doubts. They'll take you through the all the process of it, and then you can take a an well-informed decision. Next question we've got is from Umesh Chaube, and he says visit visas are applicable to get a job in New Zealand now. Umesh, no, a visitor visa will not allow you work rights. So even the companies will not offer you the job unless you have a work visa in hand to be working in New Zealand. I hope I have answered your query. Next question we've got from Susie, and she says a new study visa status, please. Susie, right now we do not have any updates. The last update regarding the student process was that they are allowing a couple of students, about 1,000 students, provided that they held student visas before or they were studying in New Zealand or literally in New Zealand before. So then only you can apply for, you'll be eligible to travel on those exceptions. So that is the last update. We do not have any new update for new students who want to go to New Zealand for their courses. And so just stay tuned. As soon as we do have any information from the New Zealand government, we'll be happy to help you out. Next question we've got from Ankit, and he says, by when can we expect the borders to open? Hi, Ankit. I think this is the most asked question, but I think the borders should open up as per the information that, the vague information that has come from the government. The borders should open up within this year. However, we do not have a timeline to it. So I think it's just a waiting game. So we all are waiting and seeing when will they plan to open up the borders. Nirosh has 2 more questions, and he's written, I've done a level 8 in food science, finished on last November, still couldn't find any in food industry job. But what is the chance of PR if I could not find food technologist? Nirosh, it's fine if you are not able to find in that industry. That is what I'm trying to explain. There are a lot of other ways that you can meet points. There are a lot of other criteria under which you can meet points. So that is why I'm saying, unless I do have your profile in front of me, I will not be able to suggest you if you're meeting the requirements or not. So please leave us your number or just speak to one of us, and we'll be happy to help you out with it. Susie says, thank you for your quick response. Truly appreciate. Thank you, Susie. Nirosh has written, you missed my last 2 questions. Nirosh, I think I've answered those questions now, and you've left us your number also. Thank you so much. Team, can you please make a note of this and contact Nirosh so that we can clear out his queries? Thank you, Susie, for your compliment. Another question from Deepson Kaur, and she says, I got student visa in March 2020, so please tell me when will I go and when will the New Zealand borders open up. Like I said, Deepson, we do not have that information, hopefully soon. So once they do open up, we'll apply for your visa again. And you can apply for the visa again, and once it's approved, then only you can travel. As of now, there is no other exception that you can fall under and go to New Zealand. My suggestion would be just speak to our team. Just give me a second. It's one quick check I want to do. Yeah, so I would suggest speak to us. Let me see, I would like to see the visa that you have received. What was the travel date like? So if there's still time, which I'm very unsure that there's time because you got your visa in March 2020. So speak to to us. I think leave us your number. I will need to see the visa details. What is the visa validity? What was the first entry before, to understand if you meet the requirements or not. But with the information that you're giving me, it's very unlikely. However, I would suggest you to speak to us in detail. And once you have the well-informed, once you are well-informed, then you can make your decision accordingly. I do not see any more questions coming up. We'll wait for another 2 minutes. We've got one question from GC Gaming Fighter, and he says, how is graduate diploma of computer aided design course from ARA Institute of Canterbury? It is definitely a very good course, and what it will do is it will help you develop your knowledge and gain specialist skills relating to the management of it. So management, integration, and utilization of computer aided design, that is the CAD, in any organization that you will be working in. So it is a very good course, and if you are looking at that, then just, I would say, just go ahead with it. Another question from Amit, and he says, what are the chances of July intake? Amit, we do not know for sure as of now, while we do hope that the July intake happens. However, we do not have any such confirmation from the government on when are they planning to open up the borders. So we'll just wait to hear from them. If not, then probably we'll move to the next intake. That would be about September, October. Thank you for leaving us your question. Another question we have from Ashwarya Mithun, and he says, hi ma'am, what about post-study work visa holders who got stuck in another country? Ashwarya, if you held a post-study work visa and you're in another country, you are unlikely to meet the requirements, because under work visa also they do have specific work visa categories only that will meet the exception requirements. So post-study work visa is unfortunately not one of them. My suggestion would be, just leave us your number if there is any change in the requirements of the exceptions and everything. And if we feel that you are meeting the requirements, we'll be happy to get in touch with you. But for that, please leave us your contact details, like your phone number and email, so that the team can contact you at the right time, as in when you are eligible for the exception. Thank you for leaving us your question. GC Gaming Fighter says AGV has great education consultants who are licensed immigration advisor, have knowledge about NZ immigration and all courses. Thank you so much, GC, for these compliments. It means a lot. We do come here live and try and give you the best information that we can, and it means a lot when people acknowledge the effort that is being put in. So thank you for coming on the live, leaving us your questions, and we are always happy to help you out. So if you have any queries or any doubts, you can contact us. You can leave us your an email, or you can contact us on our toll-free number, and we're happy to assist you. Thank you, everyone. I think we've almost reached the end of this session also, and we do not have any further questions coming in. So I will wrap up the session for today. It was great talking to you all. We had a lot of questions. We had questions related, mostly related to the borders, and some of them related to the exceptions. I think it was good knowledge for everyone and for the team as well, to understand how this exception works. And because it is so dynamic that it keeps on changing, every day, some new addition, tweak they're going to do in the exception. So it was great talking to you all. Look out for any information on our AGV page, any updates, we will be the first one to give you all that information. And it was great talking to you all today. And I will hopefully see you all soon. Thank you for coming on my live session. Have a great day. Have a great weekend, and see you all soon. Bye.